What is going on, Lunatic Fringe? It's Friday, it's Halloween, everybody gets spooky ooky, everybody gets scared. Let's figure out what's going on in the Terra Luna Classic ecosystem. We're going to do this really quick because I don't want to waste your Halloween day. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in, helps push me up in the algorithm. Go to terracasino.io for all your risk-based gaming needs. And remember, there are college football games, NBA, the World Series, NFL, all kinds of different sporting events going on. And in the comment section yesterday, remember, there were people who were making thousands of dollars over here. So if you're not making any money or you're not taking a little bit of risk, what are you doing? Terraport.finance for all of your meme coin and utilities. Remember, this is the #1 DEX in all of Terra Luna Classic. And don't forget, proud to announce Terrapump.fun Launch Pump is now integrated into the Terraport.finance ecosystem. Go launch yourself your own Halloween token. Do it today. Let's make some Halloween money. Let's buy a few of these. Let's see what happens. Obviously, when it starts off, it's trading at a penny. So let's see how that goes. And in fact, up here at the top, you can see this. Someone just bought, and it will tell you exactly what everybody is buying along the way. So good opportunity for you. Now, Terraport continues to be the big dog in the yard, followed by Garuda DeFi and TerraSwap. But looking into WeSo DeFi, guys, if you have not yet done it, and I've had a couple people reach out to me, it is time for you to set up a miner for WeSo World. WeSoWorld.io is your place for another swap and for mining and a very slick NFT marketplace. So make sure that you get yourself just a little bit right now so that when this launch happens, when all of these things start to break out, that you are part of the groundswell of support for WeSo. November 13th, decentralized spotlight with Hacken.io. It's going to be Luna Classic USTC. Now, I do think that I'm going to be part of this on November 13th. If I'm not part of, I don't know if I'm scheduled for it or not. If I am scheduled, then you'll see me there. If not, you'll see me listening in from the gym at 1 p.m. on Thursday, November 13th. I want to talk to you about Terra from Terraport for just a second here. Guys, I'm not saying it's a generational entry position, but if you listen to me when I tell you what happens with charts and how they tend to run and how they tend to function, I want to give you two scenarios here real quick for your investment preference here. Let's pop this over here. Now, what I normally tell you is that we get a run, then we get a correction down to the 0.5 or the 0.618. Then we get a correction back up to the 0.236 unless we're not showing any strength, in which case it goes to the 0.382, which is right here. And then it comes back down, tends to hit the 786. But then we get a significant rally, and that rally takes us eventually back up to that 236. So what I'm saying to you is I think that's an 80-90% rally that's available on Terra very, very soon. So I would suggest, I'm not telling you what to do, but I would suggest that you buy yourself a little bit of Terra just in case this thing starts to really take off and you can gain a little bit back off of that move. That's, to me, seems like a pretty solid move. But if we just grant here that maybe that's not the case, maybe I'm looking at it from too granular a perspective. If that is the case, then what I would say was the same thing right here. Then we got a deep cut down here. And then if that is the case, then the next move from right where we are right now would be a move back up to the 382. Either way, it seems like there is a big move in the chamber and that we're about to see a really significant run. Now, remember, this is paired with Terra Luna Classic. So when it has a chance to run or when it starts to run, it will be because Terra Luna Classic also is running. So let's look at that. But before we do, look at the validators. You can see the movement. A lot of people giving a lot of credence to Greenpeace right now. And he, in fact, was the only no with veto in the entire funding IBC relay activity. So I don't understand. But again, I have a personal preference. I believe that that your bag should grow, that your bag shouldn't be stifled, that you shouldn't be screwed over and the value of your crypto diminish. He does, and is voting against. He's voting against cleaning up this Terra Luna Classic ecosystem so that we can communicate with the Cosmos ecosystem one more time, which is wild to me. But here we are. So if you're validating with him, it would be my suggestion, find somebody else, anybody else, somebody who's voting yes, most preferably, If you don't think that it's the right move, continue to validate with Greenpeace or anybody else who's voting no, including, but not limited to, Jesus is Lord, Jesus is Lord, and Jesus is Lord. Okay, so almost every meme coin, almost every utility coin, I think, in the Terra Luna Classic ecosystem about to rally. So you're starting to see this move right here. We've got wick right here, wick right here, wick right here. So we're in an upward trend finally. This is short term. On the long term, it is still a bearish trend. Until we break that structure, we are still in a bearish trend. And by the way, we did break that structure one time before Wintermute sold off on us to try to send Donald Trump a message, I think, from China. So what do we gain from this? Well, we, obviously and clearly there is some downward momentum that's still just kind of leaking, and hopefully we'll see that break. In my opinion, what needs to break in order for us to, again, break that structure is a breakout above this range right here, and then a breakout above these tops right here, getting into most likely this sort of range right here, which kind of that's threes, it's 4 zeros, 8 or 9 in that sort of range right there. Just to be perfectly honest with you, what would happen if that were the case? If that were the case, you would have flipped the 50, you would have flipped the 200. This is on the daily. You would have flipped both of them, which would be a bullish indicator, and you would probably see a significant pump. Part of the reason you would see a significant pump would be because AI algorithms would be picking up the bullish pattern, and new investors would be speculating, and that would lead to a dynamic pump. Now, if that speculation causes new investors to come in and existing investors decide to accumulate more, then it gets even bigger. And then if new long-term hodlers step in that are looking to do business in the Terra Luna Classic ecosystem, then guess what? Everything starts to pump based upon that. And then at the same time, tomorrow we're going to get a Binance burn, and then at the same time, we're going to get a market module 2.0 launching fairly soon on Test Center right now for testing. So there's a lot of good things that could be happening in a very short period of time if we get a little bit of movement out of it. Now, by the way, I say this as if, we would just randomly, magically get that pump. More than likely, I've got it all reversed, and it's going to start with Market Module 2.0 popping off, which would then lead, because, and by the way, it would just be the launching of it that would cause a little bit of a surge. It would be the first burns that would cause the next big surge. And I don't think that Binance burns tomorrow are going to have much bearing on it, okay? Just FYI. But there is some real possibility here. So let's take that into consideration. I do think that we are about to flip into an upward trend. I also think the rest of the market is going to flip into an upward trend. We're up $45 billion today, but we do have to recognize that since Wintermute kind of showed the weakness of the overall market, we've been struggling to kind of figure out what's next here. But again, I would say that if you're making a thesis here, you've got lower highs starting to mint as they're coming in. So I would think a surge to the 50, which is about 200 billion being added into the crypto market, maybe through this weekend and today, could be in the cards. Might take a little bit longer, might take 4 or 5 days, six days, something like that. But it looks like there is some potential movement. Now, the other thing is, back up here a little bit, the United States government has to get back to work, and they have to pass the Clarity Act. If they do that, then everything will start to really sort of rally. Right now, it's being suppressed by people who do not want that pump to happen yet because they haven't really entered a position, or they don't think that their profit margin is going to be enough. Institution is very fickle about how they do this. They're trying to dump on you. They're trying to get you tricked into a position. So something like right now where you see that and you look at it and you see that higher low, now you're starting to think, this might be a really good move for me. So then you get in somewhere in this range right here, and then they dump on you to make their profit. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I am saying that, sometimes it's going to go down. Sometimes you're going to put, you're going to make a bet, and the bet's going to be wrong. So watch for signals, watch for signs that the market is continuing to correct to the upside. Make sure you take your profit responsibly when you get to that upside, and then make sure you accumulate more at the bottom. Volume is 10 million still, just kind of ranging. Volume on USTC still struggling, but again, I think it's always going to struggle. Just wanted to let you guys know that the hospital has released Happy Caddy Crypto. For months and months and months, I have not been notified that there was a Happy Caddy crypto video anywhere. Like I hadn't seen anything at any point. And it could be that I just, wasn't paying attention, right? So then I see there's HC Crypto right here, and you can see this a couple days ago. Starting about 2 weeks ago, there's been 3 videos right now. Now, most of them are secret USTC could change everything, and then everything else has been he's looking to get into that Ripple XRP algorithm. So, I don't know what ends up happening here. I haven't watched these videos, but it's good to see that he's out of the hospital without internet and that he's back and doing his stuff. And then that leads to Lunk Dash, which has had this really nice kind of layout here. So let's see what happens. Also, we've got a no on 12,199, which is the recovery money. I think that was the one that was called recovery. It's really kind of hard to explain what that is. I mean, they're just looking to get 25% of if they can get some money that had been swiped years ago or something like that out of. So I don't know. You vote how you want on that one. To me, that's not a deal breaker in any way. 205 million being burned and just really nothing happening. Again, you got that 61 million 2 days ago. Nothing really yesterday, 28 million, pretty low overall. Not a lot of movement going on. Market is being chilled right now by people who are, again, Wintermute dumping has had a big effect on crypto. So what can you expect? What do you have working against you? Wintermute dumping, which has now spooked the market a little bit and caused people to, kind of look at it and want to take their profit and kind of move away and just kind of sit back and watch what's going on just to see what happens there. That's, that's the nature of it. We saw that with OM Mantra when it broke down. So, and it's still happening, by the way. People are still getting spooked out. Every time you get a tiny little pump, you get a tiny little profit. You got the speculators who are buying the dips and you're getting a little bit of a pump and then they're exiting again. And then that's causing the existing sellers to just get tired because they can't stand or they can't stomach. They're not professional investors. They're just people like you and me. And they're looking at it and they're saying, well, this other crypto is running and I want to get in on that one. That's just the nature of the business, right? So that's, we're at PvP levels that we really have rarely ever seen in crypto for an extended period of time. We haven't really had that upside momentum, but I want to assure you that it's still coming. We're not on the downside of we're not going into a bear market yet. We've got a couple more months, I think, of a bullish run. We haven't had that altcoin blow off. I'm not saying that it's going to be, game changing or anything like that. Should be really good. And maybe, we'll kind of revise our thesis on a 40x for Terra Luna Classic. We might revise it down. I'm not sure yet, but there's still going to be a significant run. There's going to be a significant run because what we did not get right now and what we have not seen is the ultimate level of greed. The ultimate level of greed is when you make a bunch of money off of Bitcoin, you get a big surge. And by the way, institutions are going to make Bitcoin surge. So you will see $150,000, $170,000 Bitcoin probably before the end of this year. Once you see that, by the way, we're getting towards the end of the year. Once you see that, you'll see a lot of rotation into some big cap altcoins. Then you'll see those pump quite a bit. Then you'll start to see retail FOMO in, get trapped in their money pots. And then you'll see a bunch of money get extracted from those. And then you'll see that wild speculation based on the potential for the next cycle. Speculative assets will start to really surge. Things like Aster, that really in a good space by market cap, but it really hasn't had that blow off sort of surge yet. We'll get stuff like that. We'll get things like Aster and Hype, who've had good runs, but not, genre defining sort of runs. We'll see those kind of things happen. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. And remember, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right.